What is going on, my beautiful people, man? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. In this video, what we're basically going to be talking about is how to overcome our fears, how to overcome our anxiety. And I'm not saying that it has to go away completely, but I'm saying that this is something that can really help us start to get out of it, and something that can really help you deal with something that could be super crippling, something that can really hold you back from going out there and doing something amazing, going out there and doing and trying stuff that you really want to try. So let's get into it right now. Let's get into it. So basically, firstly, there are some things that we have that are just like super big fears and anxieties in terms of things that will just create it and create to the point where you're honestly just thinking about it over and over and over again. And when maybe you're going out somewhere, maybe you're doing something, that anxiety flares up, and all of a sudden that all of your attention goes to that. You can't really do anything. You can't really like focus. You can't be yourself because you're focusing all your freaking mental resources on that anxiety. Whether this is, in a social situation or as a performer too. If you're a basketball player, sports player, anything like that, you got to go out there and you got to be able to perform with that anxiety and with those nerves. Now, so my first step that we got to get to with this is being able to accept the fact that we can be okay even if the anxiety is going to stay forever. Being okay with it and embracing it, just like Kobe Bryant talked about, trying your best to be still is something that can actually allow the emotions to have the ability to start to go away because you're accepting them. The more that you resist them and the more that you're like, no, I don't want you at all, you better get the hell out of here, you got to get the freak out of here, all of a sudden the emotions start to like amplify and they just start to grow, and that's what we're really not trying to go for. But secondly, there's something that I learned in this book called Letting Go, and it was so dang powerful for this. So a lot of our anxieties are going to stem from fear, and he says that fear is something that can be worked on. Now, fear, it can be in a multitude of ways. It can be from shyness, it can be shyness, it can show up as anxiety, it could show up as a stress, it could show up as nerves, it could show up as all this stuff, a whole bunch of different stuff. Now, of course, fear can be there. Even the top performers say that they can be there. But I just realized something from this book, and he was saying that it's something that you can continue to work out and continue to go. The more that you go into the fear in your mind and go into the fear of what that thing is, the more that you can start to find the source and the root of that fear and start to alleviate it. The more that you can start to dilute it, the more that you're able to go into it and start to know, okay, this is where it's coming from. How can I place myself out of this? Now, what we're going to do for this is to place ourselves into God instead of this, instead of these things. And a lot of the things, so there's 3 things that I've heard Julian Blanc, he's great at this. He talked about the 3 things that we actually are placing our, I guess you could say confidence, but placing our 3 things that usually are able to get that anxiety or whatever riled up. And a lot of times it's either A, it's going to be approval. You're focusing on the approval of the people. You want people to look at you. You want people to say that you're doing good or whatever. Or it's going to be, well, like firstly for that one, it's really going to make you not be able to focus on anything because you're focusing on getting approval. You're focusing on doing stuff for other people. And when you're focusing on that approval, if you look stupid, if things are going wrong, if you embarrass yourself or anything like that, all of a sudden that anxiety is going to flare up, even if it doesn't happen, because of the fear of that thing potentially happening. So it's fear of approval, fear of control. You're trying to control everything. You need everything to go a certain way. You need your image to be put up in a certain way. You need all this stuff to go perfectly, or else when you lose that control, it's like when you're going on vacation. If things don't go perfectly, you don't get that perfect resort that you wanted to go to. If you don't have that control and you start to go crazy, that anxiety is flaring up from that lack of control. And the last one is going to be security. Security is like money, success, and stuff like that. Being able to have the security of that, and you rely on the security that you have a house over your head. You rely on the security that your girlfriend isn't going to leave you. You rely on this girlfriend or boyfriend isn't going to leave you, or you rely on the security of these things instead of relying on the security of God. Now, all these things are things that, of course, on a normal basis we're trying to build, but once you become reliant on that stuff, once it becomes so faulty that it can just fall through. So if you want that approval, when people aren't giving you that approval, or when you fear like, oh, people might say something about this, or oh, my something didn't come out good today and I'm gonna look stupid, and it becomes hard to go out there and that anxiety flares up, or I don't want to make this mistake because people are going to say something. That's where it starts to arise, that anxiety. And if we get an awareness of that, it's powerful. For the control, we realize, okay, when we don't have control of a situation or how this is going, and we start to get anxious and stressed and just like it all comes out, that's what we got to work on. If it's the security, when we're trying to focus on if somebody else comes in and, they got more money and success or whatever it might be, and we get a little bit anxious, or if it's like somebody's threatening to take away our home, or, in a relationship, they're threatening and stuff, and we want the security of a relationship, and it starts to flare up in anxiety or stress, that's how we know, okay, that's actually where that is coming from. But here's the amazing thing here. It's amazing to actually trigger these things on purpose and be aware of when they are being triggered. So you can go into a place and you feel that anxiousness, and you feel that it's not just a normal nerves, or just kind of like it's just kind of like a normal thing. It's more like oh man, this is really holding me back. This is really just something that is not good. And for me, like here's the example here. So for me, a lot of the times I would be thinking about something, and okay, so firstly, before I even say this, what he was saying is that you can go into these fears that you have, into that anxiety, and you can start to alleviate it by asking yourself, what is the worst possible scenario? What is the worst possible thing that can happen? When you ask yourself that, it allows you to go into the fear deeper and deeper and start to alleviate it piece by piece. You start to see, oh, that's actually not so bad. Like that worst case scenario, that's not so bad. But what you want to do is go into it and realize that you still have God no matter how it goes out, no matter how it plays out. And if we place our confidence in God, there's a scripture that says, "In the Lord shall be thy confidence." The more that you place your confidence in God, no matter how anything is going to go, the more that you're able to alleviate the fear and start to live in the fear of God instead of the fear of man. Now, I'm not saying that the fear of God is like some terrible thing, but I'm saying that it's the approval of people and not the approval of man. That is a powerful verse for approval. It's just something like that. If you realize, okay, I'm focusing on people's approval, like for myself, example here. Sometimes when I'm getting ready in the morning, sometimes it's like, oh, my hair isn't coming out right. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, so my hair doesn't look like how it used to look like. Oh my gosh, like what if I go bald one day? Oh my gosh. And it's just like that is going to flare up in anxiety, not because it's just like we don't even sit and take the time to think about that. If you really think about that, whatever it looks like, and if you're a woman, sometimes your makeup isn't going to come out good, and you're like, oh, I'm not looking at my best today. People aren't going to like me. They're not going to think I'm beautiful, anything like that. I know my girlfriend has that sometimes, and she's working on it too, man. But it's just like, once you sit there with it, and you're like, okay, let's say that I do go bald. And that's for me powerful. It's like, okay, if I do go bald, oh my gosh, that would be tough. That would be tough. That's something that we don't want to think about sometimes. We purposely don't want to sit and think about that. But it's like, all right, if I do, let's say people don't want to talk to you no more. It's like, oh my gosh, he's bald. Nobody wants to talk to you no more. You don't got no people's approval. Guess who we still have? We would still have God. We would still be able to go to God. And that's not saying that it's going to be the sweetest thing ever. It's going to be the most easiest thing ever if you go and you talk to people and all of a sudden like nobody wants to talk to you no more. But the amazing thing is that you have God, and you know that God is for you. God is going to continue to be with you no matter what. He has plans to prosper you, not to harm you. And he made you exactly how you were supposed to be made. If he wanted you to be any different, he would have made you different. He was not like, oops, I accidentally messed up on that one, but I'm still going to send it through. No, you're on his perfect plan. And the more that we can visualize that, I would literally go into the bathtub and I'm visualizing, okay, what is the worst situation that I could imagine? That's one thing. But if I have another thing, it's like, okay, what if I mess up at my job? If I mess up and I drop a whole bunch of freaking cups, the worst possible scenario would be I would drop a whole bunch of hot coffee on somebody. Would that be terrible? Yes. And a lot of the times I don't want to think about that, but I still have that little bit of fear whenever I'm like carrying all this coffee cups on a tray. But the more that I just think about it, like, okay, I would do that. I think it's the emotional reaction that we're scared of, that embarrassment, that anxiety, that stress. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. This was so cringy, whatever you want to say about it. But if you can like just go a few steps farther, the worst possible scenario, they get pissed at me. Everybody's like, you're so freaking stupid. They're mad. They sue me. I don't know. They fire me from the job. I get fired out of this job. Guess what? I would still have God. That's what we got to remember. And if you can go into your biggest fears and simply just ask yourself, what is the worst possible scenario? And start visualizing yourself going through that worst possible scenario. Not just visualizing it, visualize the feelings. When you get that anxiety, what is that feeling in your stomach? What is that feeling that happens? And start to ask yourself, where is that coming from? Go deeper and deeper and ask yourself, there's always a core emotion that you're wanting with these things. Whether that's love, joy, peace, any of these things, hope, anything like that, you're wanting these things out of the outside world, and when we want it out of the outside world, we give them control over it, and that's what creates the anxiety. But if we can realize that God is the source of everything, and if we can have happiness, joy, and peace, and know that it's possible without any outside validation, any outside circumstance, anything going on the outside, and we have it on the internal with God, then all of a sudden we start to be able to relinquish that. And then we just find it's like, okay, I go here, I want approval here, I go deeper, I find out that it's actually because I want connection, or I want connection, and the connection means that I want love. I want to like have a connection with people, and it's also could be tied to security. I don't want, of course, we don't want our freaking significant other to be like, oh my gosh, like they're bald now. All of a sudden, I'm not gonna want to be with them no more. But the more that we can go into that, it's like, okay, if that did happen, and we did break up because of that, could I get through that? And just simply thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I would be with God still. And that's a beautiful thing. And it might be tough. It's going to get some emotions there. But it's like, the more that you do that, all of a sudden, I felt so free. You feel so free. You don't realize how much stuff that is actually subconsciously, it's like, might be holding you back. So the more that you can go into it, it's just like amazing, man. I was literally visualizing just like even, man, so many things with this stuff. We can talk about it if you guys want to talk about it in the comments, man. But it's so amazing. I was even visualizing my day at work, just imagining like if you go and you talk to everybody. I want to really free myself up to just talk to everybody from a free place and just have the most fun that I can. And it's just like, okay, if I talk to everybody here, nobody talks to me, nobody does anything. Everybody is just like, you're the worst person in the world. Get the freak out of here. You're stupid. You're stupid, or you look stupid today, or whatever it might be, whatever our mind goes to. And then it's just like, all right, would I be okay? Yeah. And then you just visualize yourself like, yeah, I would still have God. Yeah, I would still have God. And it changes the way that you are going to go into every single day. So the more that you feel that anxiety, the more that you feel that stuff, realize that we are trying to get to the point of getting rid of that. It's not getting rid of your anxiety totally, but of the pride and of the ego. That's what wants to survive. But the more that we can find it, it becomes a trigger to say, oh my gosh, there's the ego. It's like a freaking movie. It's like, there's the ego. We've located him. Send God upon this ego. Send God upon this freaking pride that is causing us all this stress and anxiety. And you just start to alleviate it. That's what we're doing. So the ego and the pride has to go. And we're telling God, I am not letting go. I'm okay with feeling that stuff. I'm okay with feeling the anxiety. I want to continue to give it to you. Love you guys very much, man. Hope you guys have an amazing one. Talk to you on the next video. Peace.